Hello and welcome to the First Issue Club podcast. We're your weekly reading club for what's new and fresh in the comic book industry. Numero uno, that famous hash sign preceding a number one of the binary numerals in the unit of measurement system. I'm Mike DeStacy, a co-host alongside these two gents.
Andy Vargas.
And I'm your friendly neighborhood cancel pig, Greg Lichtai.
Oh, God.
Oink, oink, folks.
Coming out the gate, spicy hot.
I thought I would be cooled down by now
Okay.
from the controversy of the weeks, but I'm not.
I do have some good news for you on that front. But
Okay.
should we start from the top?
We should start from the top. So, folks, every 4 months or so, the comic book conversation has to get ugly. It has to get messy. And right before 2023 decides to go to sleep, we have one last little shakeup in the comic book industry. And it started with a video that got passed around either on TikTok or Twitter of a shop owner who was kind of upset because their shop wasn't doing well. They weren't selling enough comics, and this particular owner thought that it was because the writing of the comic books wasn't as good anymore. He thought that the writers were injecting themselves too much into the comic books, and that he didn't want to see that anymore because we just want to see Tony Stark. We don't want to see you as Tony Stark. And
I didn't know Peter Griffin owned a comic
it was
book shop.
Lois. It was enough. It was enough of a match in the cinder box to make social media explode with this. Mm-hmm. People coming to his aid to say, "Oh yeah, I agree with you," and to people like me who are just like, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah.
Because every point you're making is terrible, and so we will go through those points and talk about how bad they are. Number one point I want to point out. He says that he didn't want the writers to write themselves into the roles of these characters. He gave examples of Miles Morales, Tony Stark, basically every lead Marvel DC hero. He wants them to be like Bruce Wayne or Tony Stark or whoever. First of all,
aka white guys.
Well, my whole problem with this point is like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
First of all, these people have never existed. Tony Stark is not real.
Yep.
Miles Morales is not real. Other people have inserted their views and their beliefs into these characters to give them life.
Right.
Therefore, individual pieces of the writer's DNA and brains are already sewn into these characters.
Yep.
From the time they were created in 1960 or 1930 to present day. So the fact that you're saying, don't write yourself, write Tony Stark, is already
Asinine.
problematic and like not making any sense.
Yeah.
Because what you're really saying is, I don't like Chip Zdarsky's Batman, or I don't like ... whoever.
It's not like it was when I started reading,
And
so it's bad.
And it actually is. Because your favorite Batman, you just liked that writer.
Yeah.
You're not
exactly.
liking that version of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Because Bruce Wayne isn't a real fucking person.
Yeah.
Those characters change with the generations that are reading them at that time.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't progress with the character. That's the problem.
Sure.
You felt you're feeling left behind. And that says something more about maybe who you are as a person or how you feel about things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
If you can't grow naturally and you're setting your own particular lifestyle or ways, of course you're going to see more current storytelling as out of reach for you or unobtainable.
Well, yeah. Comics classically carried the themes of the day, so much so to an extent that a comics code was put on those
Yes.
to like try to silence a lot of that stuff,
Yes.
right? So it's always been a thing that's happened. And I think as a comic book shop owner, it's partially your responsibility to be a steward to the next generation, to welcome them into the voices of their day that are telling the stories that help them connect and
well,
find their own identity.
I think that on top of you having these feelings, being a shop owner in a shop that's not doing particularly well helps reinforce those feelings.
Yes.
But I read a really, really great take that I thought put a really good point on this. And it's that comic book shops are just specialty bookstores.
Mm-hmm.
They're museums for middle-aged people.
Yes.
Unless they're carrying the things that people want to see. And it was this woman, and she's been involved in comics, whatever. But she said she was with her 10-year-old kid, and he just blazed by a comic book shop today because he doesn't want to go in and look at 30-year-old comics like we would. Totally understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But he went to Barnes & Noble and bought the new Dogman book.
Right.
Which is number 12 on the Amazon book list. Not books for kids, not comic books, books. So, like, kids are buying comics. There are young audiences out there for comics. You're not stalking them.
Yes.
Because you want Batman 30 or what, like, you want those specialty comics that are high dollar. You want, and that's ultimately what comic book stores end up being, is stores for middle-aged men. And those are never going to make money because you're a specialty bookstore.
Well, and the point also in that video was, like, he accused or he insinuated that the comic book community or the comic book publishers had let him down. Now, let's just dissect that a little bit. That's impossible. Because the comic book publisher is A, business, and B, it isn't sentient.
Right.
Do you understand that? Like, it's not doing this on purpose. It is creating books, and it's your responsibility to either sell them or not sell them.
Yeah.
The comic book community and the comic book publisher didn't let you down. Maybe you're just a terrible business owner.
Right.
Or you're not, or you're just not good with money or growing with the new generation. There are many comic book shops in our area that have also included board games, card games, dice, D&D stuff. Like, you have to evolve and grow just as a business in general to succeed.
Yeah. Well, there's a shop that we have in Kansas City that I won't name necessarily for a couple of reasons because we've talked about them before, but there's a person who works there that doesn't get paid much and just has it as a fun part-time job, but they're very in tune with what people want.
Yes.
And the older shop owner who doesn't know this stuff listens to this person because they've been proven right several times to say, we need to order 20 copies of this comic that you would have otherwise maybe completely bypassed or bought like 4 copies of.
Yeah.
And then it turns out it sells a lot. That a lot of the way people read comics right now is that they're fans of themes and they're fans of creators and not just fans of Batman and Spider-Man. Like, we all bought the Sentry a while back because Jeff Lemire was writing it. And if you're a comic shop owner and you weren't familiar with Jeff Lemire at the time, who wasn't, maybe as big of a name then as he is now, you might have skipped that book because you're just like, who cares about another Sentry comic book?
Right.
Instead, all kinds of comic book hipsters and young people are like interested in this like Sentry reboot that's a very like modern take on the character.
Yeah. And I will say, this isn't a comic book shop problem, blanket wide or across the board. But a good percentage of shops have a irrational fear of younger people coming into the shop. And basically asking questions and wanting to learn new things because they see it as an inconvenience. Like they don't want to try to explain things.
Yeah.
They just want the normal crowd to come in and buy their shit and get the fuck out.
Yep. We have a shop in Kansas City that will, as soon as kids walk in the door, they are basically told they're not welcome.
Yeah.
It's like, don't touch anything, don't open anything.
Yes.
If you touch it, you're going to buy it. And it's like, I don't know. I get the fact that, like, you don't want, like, toddlers tearing books in half. But these are high school kids that are interested in, I don't know, getting into, like, manga or...
Yes. Or just comics and they're curious about comic books.
Are curious about comics and want to, like, pick up, like, the shop that I think we're both talking about is in the middle of Kansas City. It's a very diverse neighborhood.
Yes.
There's a historically black high school that's right around the corner from it. And when those kids walk into this shop and are basically told, like, nope, not here.
You're
so fucked up.
You're kicking out basically
People-
new readers and
tomorrow-
new money.
Tomorrow's customers, yeah.
Well, so, and back to your point, right? Like, if a toddler tears up a copy of Batman 141, who gives a shit? Like,
It'll be 50 cents in a week.
it'll be 50 cents in a week. And guess what? The parent that they're with is going to buy that book.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? You buy the Goodwill and that you have a customer that's always going to come back because you were nice to them.
Such a good point. Because if you have your high grails or your expensive books where a toddler can get them to rip them in half, you for sure should not be owning a comic book shop.
Yeah.
And like, okay, a comic book gets damaged. Mail it back or just chalk it up to a
Yeah,
loss.
exactly.
It's
It's part of owning a business.
Yes. And that's where I think the big disconnect is like, I've always wanted to own a comic book shop. It just seems like a big dream for me and a lot of fun. But it seems like the old guard of the comic book shop owners are, one, just tired.
Yeah.
They've been doing it for a long time. The scenery has changed completely of comic books, comic book fans, how to buy comic books. The digital landscape, I will admit, is kind of encroaching on their area.
Totally.
I mean, it's not going to, eviscerate physical media, but like, it is kind of daunting. I can see as a business owner how that would be daunting of just like, well, if people want to read a new comic, they can do it online. So now what am I going to do? That's why you need to evolve with the market. You need to recognize that you need to be more inviting to the new reader and just like offer new stuff. And I get it. You got to buy 25 Marvel books to get the ratio variant. That sucks. That really does suck. But like, maybe just don't then.
Yeah.
Like, no one's telling you to buy 25 issues of Iron Man 7.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to skip it. Just to make your bottom line.
Well, and we've got listeners that own comic book shops. Like, sound off. I would love to hear opinions from people that are actually out there in the trenches, so to speak.
And I appreciate hearing your take on this because I immediately, like, when I started seeing the discourse surrounding this, which I didn't do much of a deep dive, I just assumed racism. That was my first comment. Was like,
yeah, I mean,
it's like
there's an ism here.
A lot of it sounded like a coded way of saying, like, get Miles Morales out of comics, get Riri Williams out of comics. Like, I don't want, like, when I hear don't put yourself in these roles, in my mind, I'm saying, like, let's state it plainly. They're saying get black people out of my comics for my white characters. But I also, it's,
to me, it was more like a political thing.
Yeah, it's more of a
like, keep comic books, and it's just like, no,
keep comic books.
No,
Yeah,
we don't do that.
Make comics great again.
Yes, enter Mark Millar.
Yeah.
Who I guess has been just not so subtly under the radar, been kind of a shitbag and kind of a rabble rouser, and it's finally come to a head because I think either Netflix or somebody sold the rights, and so now Dark Horse owns Millar World, or Millar World is now over at Dark Horse.
Yeah.
that in itself is big news in the comic book industry.
Yeah.
And I thought that's where it would end. But it hasn't, and it's evolved into something kind of gross of Mark Millar really pivoting towards blaming wokeism and cancel culture for the state of comic book discourse and community.
Well, and that all came about because he saw that video of whatever the guy was ranting and raving about his comic book store.
Yeah.
And agreed with some of the points that he was making and interviewed him, right, on his podcast.
Yes.
Or vice versa. Whatever. The guy had Mark on, or Mark had the guy on.
Mark invited him on his like YouTube podcast show or whatever.
Yeah.
Called Old Man Screaming.
Right. And so you get this guy who's like, you know, got these like kind of coded wokeism messages. And then Mark is supporting him. And of course, you get all the Twitter people
Comicsgate.
coming. Well, on both sides, right? They're the people that are.
The Twitter people are like, I can say the thing that you guys are saying in a coded way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or uncoded, really. Like, fuck it.
But also, you got the people that are like, oh, you're a racist now, Mark Millar.
Yeah.
And he's like, whoa, what the fuck? I was just like having a conversation, not to support whatever. Like,
no. Yeah.
this is how you drive people one direction.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody gets out there, they voice their opinion, or they support an opinion that they agree with.
And then you're called a racist.
And then you're called a racist.
And it just goes off the rails.
Yeah. So then Mark, of course, doubles down. And now all of a sudden, you know, he's in leagues with EVS.
He doubled down on a bad hand.
Yeah.
And it's like he got put in a corner, right? And it was just like, no, fuck this. I'm going to fight back even more terribly.
Yeah.
And then he got backed up by EVS and his legion of cronies. And it's like, you've made terrible bedfellows. Do you realize that?
Yeah.
Because you'll get immediate digital support, meaning you'll get rows of fans defending you, attacking other people on the internet. But that does not reflect sales of anything you're going to do.
Right.
And also, you kind of don't want those people in your corner anyway. Because the ideologies they cling to and the rhetoric that they spit is so soaked in hatred and bigotry that you're almost like just poisoning yourself at this point.
Yeah.
Now, I'm saying all this to say that, like, do I support Mark Millar? No. I don't hate him, but I think he's very in defense mode right now, and he's making all the wrong calls. All of them. I don't even support Mark Millar in what he says politically or like private. Like, it's just like, I don't agree with what he's saying, but like, also, you are reacting so stupidly right now with how you are handling this entire situation, and calling people cancel pigs, and like to like say that they're like the woke agenda is like attacking me now, and it's just like the woke agenda isn't a thing. It's not a sentient creature that's following you around. It's just like,
well, you're confusing whatever this concept of the woke agenda with people on Twitter. People on Twitter are coming after him.
Yeah.
Which they shouldn't be. Either direction, right? Like, Comicsgate people shouldn't be attacking him, and whoever, the Gail Simone fans shouldn't be attacking him. Like, don't do that shit, because it's stupid.
yeah.
But him, as a public figure, should be smart enough to realize that, like, okay, I did something that makes people inflammatory. If I just fucking drop it for a week, something else is going to happen.
Honestly, yeah. Like, how no one in any kind of public affairs arena doesn't realize if you just shut up about something for 2 weeks, it's going to be forgotten.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it still doesn't excuse what he's doing, because it's like, it's now formed into a thing of just like, he's now living and breathing the concept of cancel pigs, and the woke agenda has like, I don't even know if he's accusing it of Millar World going to Dark Horse, or if he's like saying that like his career's like, it's so confusing, but he's still using the same terminology that is used by these Comicsgate members, and it's just like the whole thing is just bizarre and very weird, and just a terrible taste in my mouth now from the whole experience. But I'm a proud cancel pig, so I don't give a shit. Oink oink, you know.
I don't know. Am I part of this problem? Because I'm hearing a lot of this I've been on vacation.
Mm-hmm. He's been in L.A., folks.
Hearing a lot of it
where nothing bad happens.
Exactly right. What a beautiful dreamland. Holly weird. I'm hearing a lot of it through you. Before you even got like a couple sentences out, I was like, they want white comic book characters.
Yeah.
And so
yes,
I'm kind of me and my perspective of this immediately were like, oh, this guy is a racist, which is the thing he's complaining about, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I kind of don't give a fuck if you're giving clues as to like, I can't say anything anymore, even if it's filled with like a tinge of like coded messaging or hate speech, or is exclusionary of new people and new voices being able to do their thing that they have every right and entitlement to do, just as you can write whatever fucking comic book you want to write. These Gail Simone and Vita Ayala and all these people can write their own comic books that they want to write. If you're trying to stomp out their voices and complain about what they're doing, I feel like I'm okay with saying I don't support the angle you're taking here, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm kind of done with you because those social and personality things are bigger to me than the next comic book you're going to write.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So does that make me a cancel pig? I guess I'm a cancel pig.
Guess
then.
so.
I don't know.
Well, but so the difference is like
I'm not on Twitter like calling for people's fucking heads. I mean,
there's the difference.
we're on a podcast, and what we do is talk about what's happening in the industry. So we're having discourse on this because it's what's going on right now.
Absolutely.
But I didn't get on here to be like, let's have a fuck this guy fest without talking about like the issue more at large.
Absolutely.
I don't know. It's a tough, weird world we're living in.
He's playing the martyr card, and he's not being persecuted.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
It's just like he's like, oh, I can't write what I want to write. You can absolutely write what you want to write. Be prepared for the consequences. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, like no one's saying Mark Millar, you can't write that. It's just like Mark Millar, if you do write that, I'm gonna have an opinion about it, and I'll tell you about it. And like that's why Ethan Van Sciver's not in the mainstream comic book industry.
Yeah.
Right? He ran his mouth, and the court of opinion was just fuck that guy, and now he doesn't work for anybody.
Well, and I think there's this perception too that like everyone thinks this. I'm just the one who was brave enough to say it, and
brave and stupid run a thin line.
And I think there's a lot of people. Well, I think that there's a lot of people too that are quietly being shitheads or have bad takes and bad opinions on things. I like to believe the comic book community at large is saying, nah, I might be done with EVS because of his takes don't align with my moral principles and how I see society, and as content creator want to affect the world with the stories I'm telling. Like I want to believe that he's been kind of pushed to the side.
I think
to exist on mostly Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Because so many other people at the publishers are
aware.
That's a great word for this.
I think the generation below us and further on down have no idea who he is. That's how much he has been erased from everything.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's the last I want to say about it, because I think we got to the point of just like,
now we're in a spin. Yeah.
It's like it was all a bunch of fire and brimstone for nothing. A simple point of just like, Mark, you can do what you want, but I mean, you can't escape the fact that people will have opinions about it, and people will have discussions about it. And like you can't take the stance of just like, I want to write what I want to write, and no one can say shit about it. That's not how the world works.
Yeah.
People have opinions about everything.
yeah.
Write fanfic in your journal.
Yeah.
Well, even beyond that, right? We can't get on this podcast and expect people to not react to the things that we say. Right?
I get the emails. I get
Yeah.
the Twitter notifications.
That's what I mean. Like,
people do.
That's part of putting your art into the world is having people react to it.
And let's be clear, we don't think we're artists for this.
I do.
I mean,
I'm your friendly neighborhood cancel pig.
I think the whole point of this conversation is like just approach everything that you do creatively with the purpose of uplifting and improving people's lives, and you probably won't have a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's dead on.
Right?
I just live. I am now living my life in the comic book community by the credo of fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like go ahead and do what you want to do. We'll see where the chips fall and go from there, I guess. That goes for every creator.
Yeah. I mean, anybody who creates anything, that's how it is. Any other news? Oh, I do have news. Tim Seeley.
Oh, this was the coolest thing to fall out from all of this.
Oh, well, I'm just going to talk about his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
He's got a YouTube channel with like 100 followers right now, but he's doing a whole series about Comics 101 because he used to teach comic books at a collegiate level.
I didn't
at
realize
like
that.
Chicago University or Northwestern or something.
cool.
Yeah.
And he's doing a whole series. So if you're not subscribed to Tim Seeley's YouTube channel, go do it right now.
It's like a free masterclass.
Yeah, it's fucking incredible.
And that was like a perfect response from him.
Yeah,
just-
reverse gatekeeping.
Seriously, it was just like, because every one of those posts was just like, people are like, the woke people, want to say all these words, but they don't offer solutions. And Tim Seeley was like, all right, fuck you. Here's your solution. Like, let me explain how all of this works.
Yeah.
And he does it so eloquently. It's just like, this is the hero we needed in our darkest nights.
And you talk about like an imperfect messenger of a perfect message, right? Like Tim Seeley draws like the cakiest, like horniest comic books.
Yeah.
But his message is so pure and
Yeah.
it's exactly perfect. Like
it's genius.
I love that dude.
Yeah.
Go
Solid.
read Hack Slash.
Go read everything from Tim Seeley.
Yeah, for real.
Local man.
Nightwing.
What else can we do?
Yeah. What else?
Newswise?
Newswise, personally, Newswise, we're doing C2E2 this year. We all got press passes for that, so you'll be seeing us there. We'll be doing coverage of TowerCon, the local small community con that comes quarterly in Kansas City, which will be December 30th.
I just went to LA Comic Con and we talked about that over on our Patreon.
Nice.
Which, if you want to see that, it's patreon.com/firstissue
Plug.
Plug. Oink oink. We're on all the social medias, which I haven't been on the social media in about 2 weeks because of sick kids, and I was just fucking tired of it. To be honest,
It was exhausting.
it is exhausting.
Yeah.
It's because anyone can create an account in like 2 seconds and just be annoying.
Yep.
What else? I think that's it pretty much. And so
All right.
now we can get to the meat and potatoes of what the show really is.
Let's talk about comic books.
Booyah.
Who wants to go first?
I'm playing catch up. Why don't I talk about my things?
Okay.
Yep.
These are books that came out last month that I'm just getting to.
That came out last week, Lotus Land.
Lotus Land was last week.
Because I read it and
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
You didn't talk about it last week, did you?
We touched on it a little bit. We
Yeah.
mostly talked about Holy Roller.
Okay.
But I would love to talk to you about that.
Okay, well, I think more than anything, it's like a really interesting mood piece that sets up this futuristic tech world where there's this innovative technology that is crucial to either the survival of mankind or mankind's way of life.
Yes.
we know that there's some
A little bit of mysticism
yeah,
as well.
it seems like it.
Like he's like a precog or something. Like
The issue with it is that it gives you so little.
which I liked.
Did you like that? Okay.
It was like an appetizer for a delicious meal I know I'm going to be getting.
Yeah, this was one thing that I feel like it's very brave to
Oh, that's a good word for it.
to write this sort of a first issue, and it may be the perfect way to open a graphic novel where people already have the rest of it in their hands. Right? Mm-hmm. But as a first issue itself, you read it and you're kind of like, what?
Little bold choice.
It never kind of gave you like, what is the technology and what is his relationship with his, I'm assuming, ex-wife or
Yeah.
the mother of his child?
Yep.
Is his child some sort of like
I think he has the same powers as the father.
drone or something? He has like tech in him, it looks like, too.
Yeah.
Very confusing. And normally, like, this is the crux of the medium, right? Is that the first issue leads you into something, and normally on the last page gives you like, oh, here's the crux of the thing that surprises you. Here's the twist or what's actually happening, and then the rest of the series, we're going to go down this slide together.
Yes.
This book didn't get to the slide.
It alluded to the reveal the whole book. Did you like? They're just like from the moment I read this book, I was just like, something is up with that kid.
Yeah.
And I was just like, so you're looking at the ending through like transparent paper. You're
Yeah.
just like, I can see where they're going. Like it's fun where they're headed, but like I know where we're going. So that alludes to just like something even bigger is going to, because if they're showing you the big reveal basically throughout the entire book, I'm just like, okay, so where are we, like what else is like here? Like there must be something huge coming.
Yeah.
If we can see the big hook coming from a mile away.
Well, they referenced this like tree technology thing,
Yeah.
and then someone was attacking it who seemed to be like mind controlled or talking to some other entity that wasn't present.
Yeah.
Through what,
Like he was
through
yeah.
what appeared to be a delusion, but might actually be like a connection to some tech world. We can assume. Was he like some sort of tech terrorist?
I
or
assumed he was just
something?
like possessed. Like that's where that's where I'm intrigued the most.
Yeah, there's so many, there are maybe a little too many questions left unanswered that I think if I was reading this in a trade,
You'd be like, God damn.
I would be like, let's go. I'm
Yeah.
going to I have to keep turning the page.
Yes.
As you read this as a standalone first issue, and it might fall victim to just like a lot of people not picking up the second issue because they're just like, Lotus Land. I picked that up. What was it?
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy the second one.
Fair.
You know what I mean? It's got potential to be a really cool. That's my PSA for this book. It's got potential to be a really good book.
Yeah.
Maybe don't forget it and give the second issue a chance and see what happens.
Yeah. The art in it is a vibe.
It should have been like a double-sized maybe.
That is 100% true. But that's my fault for every first issue. I feel like
But isn't that the mark of a good first issue? When you're like, God damn, this should have been twice as long.
Yeah, sure.
that is true. Yeah. Yeah. But like the art in this is crazy good, and it did have that like kind of Blade Runner, like Last Starfighter, just like like normal world, but we're in such a highly advanced tech future. Like this
Yeah.
is set like 600 years in the future. And I was joking around with Andy. They did the thing where I hate of just like, oh, we have flying cars. I'm like, well, we're never gonna have flying cars. Like, can we
Yeah.
just stop having flying cars, please? I hate it
Yeah.
because I want one and I'm never gonna have one.
Okay. The other book I read, I want to talk about format before I talk about content.
I'm jealous of your Ashcan.
So this is an Animal Pound Ashcan, which is Tom King, Peter Gross, and Tamara Bonvillain. And
Is this like the sequel to Stray Dogs?
can you imagine Tom King writing the sequel to Stray Dogs? I would buy that book.
I would
for
buy
sure.
the fuck out of that book.
Okay, so this is the second Boom Ashcan I've bought this year. The Ashcans are like half of the comic book, just the inks.
Oh, okay.
Obviously the dialogue and word bubbles and everything as well, but you're not getting the colored version of it in here.
Okay.
And it is a really low cost toe dip into what this is. Now you could look at that as like, oh, that's a nice accessible way to see if people are interested in this book, but it's also a way of being like, I'm a Tom King fan and I buy his stuff. Now I have to buy the first issue twice. Like when I
even buy the Ashcan. I'm such
when
a
I
big
bought
fan.
these on pre-order, I don't know that I even necessarily realized I was buying an Ashcan and not a full first issue. So I've got the Ashcan for this and Rare Flavors, I think was the other one.
Ooh,
Nice.
nice.
So
The book was so good.
I don't know. I buy so many comics, not a big thing to me. Do you guys have a take on this? Is this kind of like lame because you have to buy like 2 first issues, potential first appearances? If
I
you're
really like
excited about the
Ashcans.
book, you like them.
I think they're cool.
I think for more bang for your buck, if you want to buy it twice, make the Ashcan cover a little different.
Yeah.
Just give it a little bit of a twist because that would hype me up to get like
A weirder-
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like I guess some people covet the Ashcan a little more.
Because it is
in the-
technically like first appearance sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
Now, does that mean Dog Pound Ashcan #1's gonna skyrocket in price? No. But like for like a superhero book, maybe if it was like a first appearance or something. But
Yeah.
I do think they're fun. But I want if you're gonna make me buy it twice, make the Ashcan like the less accessible one to get, like the harder one to find, a little cooler to hunt down.
Yeah.
Like make those bars spot gloss.
Sure.
Make it like just something easy to
But at
pop.
the same time, the point of it is that it's cheap. That makes it more expensive.
For Local Man, since we talked about Local Man,
Yeah.
they did the Image thing where they did the like all red paper printed cover.
Ooh,
You know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
That they did in the 90s.
No, I don't remember these.
Yeah, it's just like the mono, like red or blue.
Yeah, it's like super cheap.
With
Like-
like the printed. It's just like the same internal paper, whatever. They did that for Local Man.
Oh, that's cool.
That's dope.
I love those Local Man covers.
Local Man.
I
slaps.
love how they're just like homages to
Yeah, all
other
the old Image stuff.
Yes, yes, and they did like an old Valiant homage to like the
their annual was Local Man Gold.
so cool.
So, do you guys know anything about Animal Pound, or have you read the Ashcan?
No,
No.
clearly because I made a stray dogs joke.
So, it is basically a retelling of Animal Farm in modern day.
Oh, okay.
And it takes place in a pound because I think what I'm gathering from it is that it's saying Animal Farm was a poignant thing that's been taught in schools for like years and years, like 80 years now or however long it's been.
Yeah.
But it's about political issues and set squarely in a time that's now 80 years in the past, right? We've got different political issues at hand today, and
We need animals to explain.
is a pound a better, I don't know,
Analogy.
for fascism and some things that are like top of mind for a lot of people?
Well, we
right
now have
now.
a more robust criminal system. You know what I mean? Like
I think there's a lot of themes.
Yeah,
that,
we have like
could potentially
privatized
be-
jails. So I think we do need an updated Animal Farm.
If you do love animals, And-
Stay away.
the first few pages are like big time tearjerkers. I mean, they put you through the emotional ring, and that's the point.
Yeah.
I mean, we have empathy for animals, and you use it as an
tool.
an analogy for something that's like happening, but it's just like we don't see people the same way we see these animals, and all of a sudden it's like, but he didn't get to make that decision, this poor dog who just wanted to be loved. And it's just like, are people just people who didn't get to make that decision?
The dog
and-
is a guy.
Yeah. Hey, you know that law you voted down to give kids free breakfast?
Yeah.
So
Kind of the same thing.
the first like 5-6 pages of this are like a dialogue of a dog, like a monologue that a dog is giving to a cat to like say what he wants to leave behind before he gets put down.
Oh my God. I love that so much,
And it
but
is
I hate
like
it.
it is like, yeah.
I love that.
I'm a huge dog lover, so it got me.
Is that why this book is tear stained?
It really got me. Yeah, it's in bad shape.
I
Tear
okay.
can.
I can't read this book then because I wept reading Marley and Me. Like I can't handle that.
I think it's kind of sound like he did a little bit of a letter in the back, and I think he like earnestly. It's like tough to say like I'm gonna do the new or like the new.
Yeah, how cocky.
Animal Farm.
I'm gonna do the new Animal Farm, folks.
It does sound really cocky, but if you read it like earnestly, I don't know. It's just like maybe we need something for a new generation that's like.
I mean, we just talked about at the head of the episode how the older generation needs to adapt to the newer generation.
Yeah, right, and put it in a format that's like
accessible,
easier for kids to read, and or I guess teens maybe for this one, but.
And if there's one person that can do this story, it's probably Tom King, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
big into politics, that guy.
Yeah.
He brings all that stuff into his superhero stuff very eloquently. And
even though he's a former pig.
Yeah, but he was like a cool pig. Like he was hunting down.
Yeah, just because he was James Bond doesn't mean he's not a pig.
Yeah, does ACAB include James Bond?
Yeah, of course.
That's a good question.
Of course.
Imagine that. Imagine James Bond's on a mission and some fucking dirty crust kid just like, ACAB. He's just like, what the fuck? I just took that nuclear missile. You're going to yell ACAB at me?
Pig. Or
Yeah. You fucking piece of shit, pig. James Bond and your fucking Aston Martin.
Hope you get an STD.
and your Aston Martin.
Yeah.
He is driving a nice car.
Holy shit.
Hysterical.
Does the government really need to provide a guy with a $1 million car?
It shoots bullets out of the headlights. Of course they do.
Oh, do you want one too, comrade?
Yeah.
All right. I read a bunch because I was also catching up from last week. But the first thing I got to talk about, I told the boys about this. My LCS, this is the second time they have given me a free book from Vault. They are, I guess, just releasing some of these books for free.
Smart.
Yeah, totally.
Smart.
Totally smart. I would equate it to, it's as good a business decision as Image's $10 trades.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah,
right?
sure.
Free comic book day does not need to be once a year, folks.
Yeah. And on top of that, this book slaps pretty hard. So this is Zach Kaplan, right?
Yeah.
His new book, it's called Beyond Real. It is The Matrix, but a love story.
Ooh.
So there's a woman and her...
So like computer love? Computer love.
Shoo-doo-bop, shoo-doo-bop, I wanna love you. Sorry.
We're to Roger Troutman.
We're big Roger and Zap fans. I love that Roger's just like, I'm just going to put my first name in this. The band can't be just called Zap. It's Roger and Zap. Was he famous before Zap in his own right? He had to have been, because it's just like, hey, Roger's also here.
Just the ego of it, I think.
Is that it?
I have
maybe.
no idea who you're talking about.
You don't know who Zap is?
We'll talk about it after the show.
Okay, so Beyond Real. It opens with a woman and her boyfriend, fiance, whatever, having a conversation about how he's a doctor, like a physicist, whatever, is talking about his theory that we're all living in a computer simulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boring.
Yeah, super boring, not interesting at all. And they are driving down the road and get hit, and he is put into a coma. She ends up with like some spinal stuff. And then the rest of the book is like basically her recovery, but over the course of her recovery, she finds out that she is developing powers of some variety.
She got malware.
So towards the end
Oh, no.
towards the end of the book, she is approached by this entity that tells her that during the crash, she glitched. She
God.
is, in fact, in a computer simulation. Her code got corrupted because of the crash. So she decides to...
So the simulation is broken.
Well, she is broken inside the simulation, which is working. The entity wants to
The
repair her.
semantics of this.
This is Wreck-It Ralph.
Well, yeah, because she has these powers, like these powers to affect the simulation, like Neo in the Matrix. So her quest now is to get administrator privileges so that she can fix her boyfriend who is still in this coma.
She needs the access code.
Yeah.
Go super admin.
Yeah, she needs admin.
What is the C prompt on this?
But I think it's really, really interesting. The art's pretty crazy. Again, I got it for free. I don't know if you'll be able to get it for free at your LCS.
You should be able to.
But either way, it rules. It was so good. I can see this being a book that is about loss. Ultimately, I can see it being about how people cope with living their lives differently after an accident like this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways they could go, but super good. It's called Beyond Real. It's out on Vault.
I like Kaplan a lot. He wrote. You may know him from Port of Earth, which was that was on Image and maybe his most popular book because it got optioned and had a little buzz for a minute.
Image Top Cow, and then he wrote
I don't know if
Forever Forward.
Yes, I don't know if Port of Earth. I think it maybe is still.
I think it's
made.
still in production because
It's in
it was
production,
picked up
so it's actually
around
happening.
COVID.
Okay.
I don't know that, but
Okay.
it hasn't been announced that it's not happening.
Okay.
So that book ruled.
Yeah.
Totally worth it. I read The Sentry out on Marvel. I'm a big Sentry fan. Love the character. I was
Just going to announce who's going to play the Sentry in the MCU stuff.
What?
Yes.
Yeah. It's the guy from
Walking Dead, right?
The guy from Walking Dead. What's his name?
Dale.
No.
John.
No, it's Neil. No, what's the kid that helps him out in the beginning?
Oh, okay. I don't know the name, but
Shows how smart I am. He's going to be the Sentry.
Yeah.
all right, interesting.
So I was surprised when this was announced because the Sentry was famously killed by Null in
Ripped
Yeah.
in half.
King, King in Black.
Yep. That was so wild to be like, "Whoa, Sentry's back," and then
Never mind.
he's gone.
Just shredded.
So what is going on in this book is Jessica Jones and Misty Knight are investigating these events around the country that have Sentry energy signatures associated with them. And what we come to find out is different people across the country in these accidents are manifesting the Sentry's powers.
Oh, okay. So his power got like dispersed when he died.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't know why.
Yeah.
So there's this woman and she has cerebral palsy. She gets powers. This guy who is like a mutant, but not like a Xavier School mutant, like a Beak, where he's just like looks a little different and like has big legs.
Yeah.
That's his mutation. He gets
To me,
powers.
big legs.
Yeah.
Just like barrel legs.
But then at the end of the book, there's this Sentry guy who like shows up and is trying to kill all the other Sentry folks to get their powers.
Okay.
So
It's like kind of like a Highlander situation.
exactly. So you've got this guy who's looking for the Sentry people. You've got the cerebral palsy girl who's going around trying to stop him, and Jessica Jones, Misty Knight trying to stop them from destroying the world around them, because that's always what happens with the Sentry.
Okay.
What I thought was really cool about this book is historically Sentry books and Sentry stories have all been about like mental illness, overcoming that. This seems to deal more with physical differences. It's one of the main characters in the book has CP, right? Which you don't get to see a lot.
Right.
So
Or at all.
or at all, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of interesting things to do with that, where how do I live my life differently now that I'm, whatever, the Sentry, that kind of thing. And you parallel it with your physical differences. So
Great to see books with representation in them.
Yeah.
And that is one of the biggest voids of comic books, is the representation of people with physical limitations.
Well, and it's a really tough thing that happens a lot in comic books too, where like a character has a disability and then it's cured,
and then it's
miraculously, and then it's like, okay, well, we had Barbara Gordon, and we loved that, and now
and
it's
she
like,
can still do her job.
Yeah, and she's still a kick-ass at it, and then it's like we're gonna just
Fix her, like
we're just
quote
gonna
unquote fix
quote
her.
unquote fix her. Yeah,
Got
She's
so angry,
scrappy.
I hit the mic.
it's tough. I get you're doing stuff with sci-fi and maybe you've got pressure on people from DC who's just like, the books sell better when they're dressed in bat costumes and out like fighting people, but it is kind of a bummer sometimes when you see
Yeah, and it's bullshit, and it's a weak excuse.
yeah.
Yep. But Sentry, I don't know, might deal with that, I guess. I don't know. I might be projecting. But it was a cool book nonetheless. I also read Thunderbolts by Jackson Lanzing and Colin Kelly. This feels like the Captain America book they wanted to write when they got Captain America. Not that was bad. I fucking loved both of those series.
But there was just like big event stuff going on in it.
Well, so this is like no holds barred, lots of blacked out cussing, lots of like, we're gonna bust open the doors and kick the shit out of these Nazis, like
Right.
because the first issue revolves around Bucky and Val, the Contessa, Valentine, whatever, former Madam Hydra. They team up to form a new Thunderbolts team to kill the Red Skull. And the entire issue is them just storming Red Skull's castle, punching Nazis.
Yeah. That first appearance of Madam Hydra is a book that I've always wanted. It's a cool Steranko cover.
Mm-hmm. But now it's like
it's just very expensive for what it is.
Yeah. But this is another limited, and it seems like they're just going to be like whipping the shit out of different bad guys. They tease Kingpin for the next issue, where they have to like.
Well, yeah, and American Kaiju is someone they're going after, and I forget who else, but yeah, Kingpin's on there. Yeah. What do you mean it was the Captain America that they wanted to write?
Because it's very like rough, like edgy, like action movie. Like they're like, oh, that's a fucking Nazi. We're gonna fucking punch him in the face.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Like I didn't know if there's like something I missed about a Captain America book or whatever.
Just like, Captain America has to be like, you're a Nazi and that's bad, and watch your language.
Come here for your spanking.
Like, this is like, I'm gonna shoot you in the head.
Yeah.
There's a scene at the end where like literally Destroyer is like, fuck Nazis, right? And Bucky's like, yep, and they light a Nazi flag on fire. Like,
see, now I can get behind that.
Exactly. It's very no holds barred.
Sometimes lack of subtlety is fun.
Yeah, and it was a super fun book. I love Thunderbolts books, so I'm stoked to see them writing it. Another fun book I read was Batman and Santa Claus: Silent Night.
I've heard some about this.
Batman teams up with Santa to hunt down Krampus. And that's all you need to know.
Yes.
And I was really hoping it would be here. It's on the way, so maybe we can do it for our best of episode, but I got the scratch and sniff cover.
Yes. So we have to figure out what it smells like. It doesn't give any indication.
It doesn't?
Of what it smells like.
Does it smell like Krampus?
It's the cover is Santa's,
a sweaty ass
Santa's
Santa.
beat up, sweaty face.
Oh,
something that either smells like feet or like gingerbread and sweat or something.
I was thinking, candy cane, mint stuff.
And gunpowder. To stay on that train, Vargas, I read DC's 'Twas the Might before Christmas, which is essentially DC's holiday annual where they just get like 7 or 8 different creative teams
and
to
they
do
did, like the Batmite stuff for those.
Well,
those
Batmite's in the last story, and it's like
he's not throughout it.
It's Damian and Batmite just kind of going at it. But the rest of them were just like Yuletide stories set in the DC universe. And it was actually a lot of creators I hadn't heard of before, like a lot of new names. And I'm thinking it was a way for them to kind of showcase the newer talent that they have on their roster.
Yeah.
And there was one where like Amethyst and Harley Quinn switch places.
Amethyst is still around.
And that's what I said. I was like, oh, what a cool character to throw in. And it's like, so they switch places. And it's super funny and really cool. And the first story in the book is like, it's set in Teen Titans Tower, and Raven is like left home alone, and they basically do like a Home Alone story where she's like booby trapping the building because like she's like the story's like she's always left alone on the holidays because her dad's a demon and her mom is, I don't know what her mom's deal is. But so like she like regresses to a child like in like her mind, and so she's like running around as a kid Raven, setting booby traps from people who are breaking into Teen Titan Tower.
Home Alone.
That's
yeah,
really
and it's really really cool. And the rest are just like your typical Christmas stories. So if you're looking for a fun annual to read of just like a bunch of wacky stories, that's the one to get.
Do either of you know what the origin or background story is of Batmite?
No.
He's like Mr. Mixelplix, right? Isn't he like an alternate
Some sort of like little mischief character.
Yeah.
I know they introduced, Tom Taylor introduced Nightmite, which is Nightwing's Batmite. I've just always been aware of it, but I've never fully understood. I've
never asked the question because I don't really want to know it.
I need to go to the DC fandom thing and read that whole page and just see what.
I'll just see what psychotic ramblings people have put up about Batmite. Actually, he's from. It's like, oh god.
The last thing about the DC stuff is they're doing a whole series of Santa Claus covers. Have you guys seen them?
No.
But they're homages to like classic DC covers featuring Santa.
Oh, that's sick.
So the one for Batman Santa is like the Dark Knight Returns, but it's Santa Claus instead of Batman.
I saw that.
That's great.
And they've got the Green Lantern one is the what's the cover where he's got all the rings?
Yes.
And he's like got a face, but it's Santa and he's got like jingle bells on his hands.
Yeah.
Like
That's funny.
they're hysterical. So
that's great.
yeah, good stuff. What else did you read? I've got two more.
You get your hands on it right there.
Okay, you read Masterpiece. What'd you think?
Oof.
So this is BMB and
Brian
Alex
Michael Bendis.
Maleev.
Yep. Two heavy hitters.
Super heavy hitters. They did Scarlet. They did Jinx. They did whatever. A lot of crime stuff.
Yeah.
Is this a Jinx World
No.
book?
It's not?
No, it's Dark Horse. It doesn't say Jinx World on it.
Jinx
True.
World is an imprint.
Of DC.
I think it moved over to Dark Horse. But I don't see Jinx World.
I don't see Jinx World
on
on there. In any case, what did I feel about it? It was fine. I was expecting to be blown away, and I really left after reading it. I was left lukewarm.
Yeah, I was expecting more at the end. So
Yeah.
the elevator pitch.
The ending was kind of just like, that. Really? That's how we're going to end this first issue?
Yeah.
It's a very striking cover.
Yeah.
It's Brian Michael Bendis. It's called Masterpiece.
Yes.
It's got the makings of something that you'd be like, holy shit.
Right, and I was not left like that after reading it.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, so the elevator pitch is Masterpiece is actually the girl's name.
Oh.
And she is the daughter of like the two best thieves that have ever thieved in the world.
Right.
And she
Concept.
Yeah,
cool.
right. Like totally right. Incredible. She gets kidnapped from school by Elon Musk, insert, like the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because her parents stole like $100 billion from him back in the day.
Okay.
So he kidnaps her and says, "You're going to do a job for me
To
to
basically
like
pay
get
off your debt.
Yeah,
To get your
pay
daughter
off-
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No.
She's going to do the.
Oh, she's doing the job to pay her parents' debt.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, she's been hidden away from the world
Yeah,
for 15 years.
She never met her parents.
Her parents are quote unquote dead.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And she's been living with like a surrogate family who now she's realizing
her dad's like partner
yeah.
All right.
in crime.
Her dad's like man in the chair.
Yeah.
Has been raising the daughter.
Okay.
And then at the end of the book,
Still, all great concept.
Yeah.
At the end of the book, you see there's like another mystery man that shows up that is not explained.
Nope.
And he's like, "Come with me if you want to live," kind of thing. But then she doesn't get in the van, and he just like fucks off.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, then, bye. And you're like,
Weird way to end a comic.
and it's just like, it seemed like they threw together mismatched pages while I was reading this. And it was just like, what are we reading here?
Well, it was definitely a book that could have used like
A trade.
a double size.
Yeah.
Like at least to get me to the point where it's like, oh, that's what we're doing. Because we didn't even get to the point, like, let alone the like planning the heist scene in the movie. Like we got to the point where it's like the character also doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
It seems like it should be like an Ocean's 11 meets the Goonies.
Well, in his
And you're like, this is not that.
So has Masterpiece been raised as someone who is
We don't
capable?
No,
of
we don't
fight-
know.
Like,
She's
yeah.
raised as like a normal person.
Yeah.
They call her Masterpiece, and you're just like, why? Like, let's get to this point. The book opened.
Maybe there's something really special about her that we're unaware
I think
of.
she's also like very well. She's brilliant. She's
Yeah.
very smart.
She's like creative, and she made her own app, and like
She got famous for making a web comic
Yeah.
that like people really attached themselves to. The problem is the book opened super strong.
yeah.
There was a lot of humor there and charm. And as soon as she gets kidnapped from the school, I felt like that all went out the window.
Yeah. I mean it didn't lose me completely. It sounded like it lost you completely.
I couldn't attach to any of these characters in a meaningful way that I was just like, I give a shit about Masterpiece, or I give a shit about Elon Musk insert, or like I gave a shit about the ending.
Yeah.
Because it was all set up for issue 2
Yeah.
or issue 4.
Right.
And like the hook wasn't there to bring me along with it, if that makes sense.
It almost reads like it was written for like TKO. You know how they just release all their like
Yeah,
the
all at
whole
once.
story all at once.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry so much about issue
Yeah.
formatting.
Yeah.
It was just, I was bummed, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it still has promise, but I will certainly trade weight it.
Yeah. Because I really did want like Criminal Minds, Ocean's 11. Like I wanted that thriller, like kind of like let's get the crew together. I wanted maps. I wanted blueprints. I wanted like this kind of cool schematic thing, but I didn't get that.
It's I think it's a tough trap too when you're a creator like Brian Michael Bendis who doesn't release new first issues all the time, and so when he does, it's kind of a big deal, and our expectations are kind of like, is this the next Powers? You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, you can't release Powers all the time.
Well, and like I
Very
think
true.
I think it's silly to think that like Brian Michael Bendis can't go into any publisher on name alone and be like, I want to get a story out through you guys, and have them be like, well, I don't know. They're like, everyone's gonna be like, absolutely, Brian, what do you need? So I think he has in his mind the ability to like let this story linger more so than a new writer. Does that make sense? Like he's like, I at least got these people on the hook for 2-3 issues to let me kind of like let this thing breathe out a little bit. And I don't think you can do that in this day and age anymore. With new readership kind of wavering and like
Especially at it's $3.99. I was thinking it was like $4. But
Did you guys talk last week about? Sorry, I'm changing the subject a little bit.
There you go.
Speaking of new readership and keeping people on, the Comixology change was like a week or two ago.
Yeah.
where you like can't look at comics on Comixology app anymore.
Yeah, it's all part of the Kindle app now. You basically like if you want to. I think your past purchases translate over. Do they not at all?
Some of them don't.
Some of them don't. Okay. But yeah, like you can't. There's some people who've opened the Comixology app and it just doesn't work anymore, and there's other people who still have access for like random reasons. It just does seem like something that, even though I'm a tech savvy person, grew up in the age of the internet, I was still like, do I even want to bother with buying a digital comic to read for today to fill some time? Because I just like, I have to download this other app and I'm confused about like signing in, and do I purchase something in the app? And
That's why you need to go to omnibus.app.
yeah,
They're the new big boys on the scene, and they are killing it.
yeah. So I think this is maybe a good opportunity to just say, like, if you were so ingrained with Comixology and just didn't feel good about how some of the stuff that was happening with Amazon, or you're just opposed to like how big Amazon has gotten
Sure.
and the, employment issues that they've had and stuff like that.
And they've abandoned the Comixology. Like, I don't know if
They
there's
took
even like
away-
any tech support for this
Yeah,
thing anymore.
I think I had a hard time wrapping my head initially around what the big issue was, but I think they took a lot of the love out of it to turn it more into the Kindle app, and then
yeah.
now we are where we are now, and people are losing stuff they purchased that they thought they were going to have forever.
Yeah. So go to omnibus.app. It's for the iPad and on desktop.
Yep.
I've been using it.
Another plug.
It's rad.
Yeah.
Right on.
So wait, hold on. What did you think of Masterpiece? You
I
were
thought-
okay with it?
Letter
yeah,
grade.
I thought
Letter grade.
I want a letter grade.
I mean, I think the concept is like an A. I'm super interested.
Concept A all day of the week.
Okay,
I
we
think
agree.
like the actual first
So far.
the actual first issue is like a C.
Oh, we agree.
Hey, okay. All right.
This is one I will eyeball to pick up in trade, especially if it's like $15 in trade for 6 issues.
Yeah.
Like
To be honest, it read like an AWA book.
for sure.
You know, like it had that. You know, like all AWA books kind of have the same kind of vibe. Like,
Yeah.
While reading this, I was like, "Was this on Dark Horse?" No, okay, I thought it was on AWA. It's crazy.
For sure.
Anyway, next book, please.
Next book, this one was extremely good. It's a single creator book. Ben Stenbeck and Dave Stewart did colors. It's called Our Bones Dust.
I heard a lot of buzz about this book.
It is very cool. Lot of stuff going on, but it takes place in a post-apocalyptic Mad Max kind of world
Dig it.
where, people are cannibals and you have to like raid camps for water.
I think I have this game on my phone.
Yeah. And there's a kid out in the world who's just out there, vibing. He's out doing what he needs to do to survive.
Yeah. Give me any post-apocalyptic book,
Well,
like for real.
This is it. So on top of all of that, we get a story about 2 aliens. One of them orbiting the planet, the other on the planet. They are
Kratos and Kronos.
yeah, Kang and Kodos.
Yeah.
They're gathering information about Earth, but one of them gets like more involved than he should.
Oh, he falls in love.
Yeah, he's like, oh, something about the planet, whatever. So you've got
Stupid
this,
meat puppets have broken my will.
you've got this alien thing, right? And then the big tease at the end of the book is, the alien that's on the planet finds the camp that we've been like, involved with for the whole first issue, but they are all dead with their skin missing. And he's like, the kid couldn't have done this.
Never mind.
No human could have done this quickly. And then there's a panel where we see some kind of a robot wearing, it looks like a centipede, and it's wearing just like
Patched
people's
together
skin.
Holy shit.
So you've got, like, I think the idea is like the robots killed the people.
That is
So
incredible.
you've got these Mad Max like humans versus robots, and then this alien story on top of that.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's only 4 issues. Mike has it pulled up here. So your cost of entry is incredibly low.
That sounds awesome. Holy
it's
shit.
pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Can I open it?
Yeah, totally.
All right, hold on.
I
That
picked it
sounds
up
awesome.
I picked it up on a whim. And again, I'm kind of a sucker for books that are like one person's singular vision. Somebody who can write and do art. And this is one of them. And obviously you have
Ben
the GOAT, Dave Stewart.
Stenbeck is a Mignola guy, right?
I think he did some BPRD
He's
stuff.
done a handful of series with
Which explains
Mignola.
Dave Stewart.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. Holy shit, this is beautiful.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
wow.
Yeah. It's got the kind of image look where everything's kind of flat and chalky.
This
Yeah.
is very much almost like Step by Bloody Step, where there's like very little words. It's mostly implied.
The vibe that I got from it was very much The Spread, the Justin Jordan, Jeremy Hahn book.
Holy cow, this thing is so cool.
Yeah.
Kyle Strawn.
Kyle, one of them did covers and the other one did the interiors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yes, I can't remember who it was.
Our Bones Dust
Yeah.
is a great title.
Yes. That's why I picked it up.
Yeah.
But just based on the title. So this book slaps.
These aliens look so cool.
Don't they?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
This is brutal.
Yeah. Wait till you get
Wild.
to that last page. Look at that guy.
If this isn't a good endorsement for a book, us looking at it, you hearing it, we're going,
Yeah.
whoa.
Me reading the issue live on the episode. God damn.
Yeah.
This is cool. Okay. Hell yeah. I want to go buy this.
Yep. So if they can stick the landing,
With 4 issues, I hope they just fucking nail it.
yeah. So
Cool.
all in
right.
all, good stuff. Also, I just see the banner for it. Check out our Ed Brubaker interview where we talk about where the body was.
Yep.
That came out this
Today?
week. Today. Whenever. So go pick that up. Check out the interview. We talk about it.
He was
certified
awesome.
banger,
Yeah.
both in person and in book.
Yes. If you ever get a chance to interview Ed Brubaker, do it.
10 out of 10.
It is very fun.
Do recommend.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us. Until next week, we will be seeing you. I don't know. Bye.
Bye.